The Britain we once knew, a nation of resilience, unity, and cultural pride, rapidly transforms into something unrecognizable. Recent events in Southend have cast a dark shadow over the state of the country, leaving many to question the direction in which we're headed. The clash between British youths and migrants, where students were brutally attacked with sticks, is not just a random act of violence. It's a reflection of a deeper, more troubling reality. A country that once stood tall as a beacon of hope and opportunity now finds itself grappling with chaos and division. Migrants, many of whom are suspected to be Islamists, were seen beating students in a manner that leaves little doubt about their disdain for the country that welcomed them. Britain, a nation known for its open arms and generosity, is now witnessing those same arms being met with hostility and violence. The streets of Southend have become a battleground, and the victims are not just the students who were attacked, but the very fabric of British society. This is not an isolated incident. Across Britain, similar stories are emerging, painting a grim picture of a nation at odds with itself. Make your opinion count by liking this video and promoting it for more awareness. Also, share and subscribe to our channel for upcoming updates. Let's challenge the narrative together. Children in Britain find themselves unable to access certain parts of their towns and cities, areas that have effectively become no-go zones. These are places where the values of integration and mutual respect have been replaced by division and fear. The welcoming hand that Britain extended to migrants is now being met with disdain, and ordinary citizens are feeling the consequences. This is the Britain of Keir Starmer, a Britain where the problems of its people are dismissed and the voices of concern are silenced under the guise of political correctness. The incident in Southend where migrants were seen attacking British students has shocked the nation. These horrific scenes are not just about a fight, they are a symptom of a larger issue, a clash of cultures, values, and identities. Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, has repeatedly downplayed these issues, focusing instead on what he calls the real problem, Islamophobia. But how can we ignore the reality unfolding before our eyes? When British citizens are being attacked in their own homeland, when children are afraid to walk through their neighbourhoods, and when communities are being torn apart, it is clear that the concerns of ordinary Britons are being ignored. Starmer's Britain is one where those who speak out against these issues are labelled as bigots or racists, while the true perpetrators of violence and division are shielded under the banner of tolerance. The case of a 45-year-old British mother who was sentenced to 9 months in prison for expressing her frustration on Facebook is another stark example of this troubling trend. Her crime? Writing that Britain must take back its country and expressing her anger at the ongoing exploitation of British girls by Muslim grooming gangs. Her words, while controversial, reflect the sentiments of many who feel powerless in the face of such atrocities. Yet, instead of addressing the root cause of her frustration, the system chose to punish her, sending a chilling message to anyone who dares to speak out. Europe as a whole is walking down a dangerous path. The continent that once stood as a symbol of progress and enlightenment is now on the brink of cultural and social suicide. The unchecked influx of migrants from the Third World has brought with it challenges that Europe seems ill-equipped to handle. When you import the Third World, you risk becoming the Third World. This is not just a fear-mongering statement. It is a reality that is playing out in cities and towns across the continent. The values and norms that once defined European societies are being eroded, replaced by a chaotic mix of conflicting ideologies and interests. In Britain, the situation is exacerbated by the misuse of taxpayers' money. Hard-earned funds are being funneled into programs and initiatives that often seem to prioritize the needs of migrants over the welfare of British citizens. This is not to say that helping those in need is wrong. On the contrary, it is a noble endeavour. But when that help comes at the expense of the very people who are funding it, it becomes a source of resentment and division. Britons are being asked to sacrifice their security, their culture, and their way of life, all in the name of inclusivity. The erosion of British identity is further highlighted by the increasing restrictions on free speech. In one shocking incident, a British citizen was reprimanded for telling someone to speak English. What was once considered a reasonable expectation in a predominantly English-speaking country is now being treated as a crime. This Orwellian approach to policing language and thought is not just an attack on individual freedoms, it is an attack on the very essence of what it means to be British. The question we must ask ourselves is this: how did we get here? How did a nation that once stood as a symbol of strength and unity become so divided and fragile? The answer lies in a combination of political mismanagement, cultural relativism, and an unwillingness to confront uncomfortable truths. For too long, the concerns of ordinary Britons have been dismissed as fear-mongering or bigotry. For too long, the political elite have prioritized their own agendas over the needs of the people they were elected to serve. But there is still hope. Britain has faced challenges before and emerged stronger. To do so again, it must first acknowledge the reality of its situation. It must recognize that the path it is currently on is unsustainable and that real change is needed. But this change must start with a commitment to honesty and transparency. The issues facing Britain are complex and multifaceted, but they cannot be solved by ignoring them or sweeping them under the rug. The road ahead will not be easy. It will require difficult conversations and tough decisions. It will require a willingness to stand up for the values and principles that have defined Britain for centuries. And most importantly, it will require a united effort from all corners of society, from the political elites to the ordinary citizens, to rebuild the nation and restore its sense of pride and purpose. Britain is at a crossroads. The choices it makes today will shape its future for generations to come. Will it continue down the path of division and decline, or will it rise to the challenge and reclaim its place as a strong, united, and prosperous nation? The answer lies in the hands of its people. Now is the time to act, to speak out and to demand better. Britain deserves nothing less.
You may have filmed some of this interaction with the Mayor. No? Because if you do, that would be really handy for us. But apparently during some conversations between yourself, apparently you have alleged, we weren't here, so I don't know you've said it, but you've alleged to say, speak English? Or what's that effect?
Speak clearly.
Speak clearly.
No,
okay.
the gentleman's partially deaf.
Yeah, he said speak clearly.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even hear him.
No, and that's fine, and that's why we've just come to speak, because potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime.
Didn't we just know this was going to happen?
No, I know.
People, if someone says to me, officer, I believe this, then we need to look at it, because someone's potentially reporting.